Welcome to Your View. It's Monday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Morayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Nima Akasha Ziberi.
Good morning, Morayo.
How you doing? How was your weekend?
I'm fine, thank you. It's day 14 of Ramadan, so we have already fasted half of the month. And I've missed 8 days already.
Oh.
So I'm going to be paying back 8 days of fast.
Okay.
So it's not funny again.
Because when every other person they're now enjoying, you now have to start continuing your
I've never
fast.
had my days short. I've never had this 5 days Ramadan bese. I always chop plenty bese. So I'm not excited at all anymore. And I have to fast it back. I don't pay it back. I fast and pay it.
That's
with
good.
the fast.
Well, how are you doing?
Well, fine. It was fun yesterday, relaxing with my neighbors at our at Gufran's best friend, because now she has a best friend. Her best friend's birthday party. And
that's nice.
Dinner with themed party. I'm my wonder's daughter.
Okay.
She had what they call that, the velvet with the tiger head.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to remember the name of the fabric. And the boy, 2 of our kids have the same day.
They call it
this year, so and she did the makeup, the traditional look with the tattoo, everything. I took pictures for the kids. It really looks nice, and it was good for Gufran because she kept looking at her friend.
The culture.
The portrait. I had abacha. They had everything newi there yesterday. It was really fun.
That's good to know.
So we had fun yesterday. It was good.
I like that. You should have invited me. You know me, I like traditional stuff. I would have
I didn't even know she was going to play it like that.
Yeah. How are you doing, Tokwe?
I'm good. Grateful to God.
You're wearing Lumzi?
Yes, I am actually. Literally, I'm not a jury person, so she just
sorted you out.
She sorted me out. It's something I probably would. I've never bought gold before in my life. Like, it's just not the kind of thing that I'll put my money into. But our politicians need to get more creative with their empowerment, right? Empowerment needs to go beyond Keke Napep, and I know Keke Napep would help many people. You know, motorcycles will help many people. It would provide immediate alleviation of the heat. But what we have failed to realize is that we've killed skilled work. So the plumber has become Keke Napep driver.
Okada rider.
The mechanic has become, and everybody, this skilled work have translated into Okada. The people that go to school have become Okada. So everybody now goes for the cheap, quick. And we're not adding value to what we're doing. So I feel very bad when I see, I'm happy that they're doing something, but I imagine the amount of money that will go into branding 10, 15 tricycles and all those stuff, that this would do much more if we think of dealing with the root of the problem by adding value to people's minds and providing an enabling environment. BC would employ people, Nima would employ, Mariah would employ, I would employ. If we have an enabling environment for our business to thrive. But you now sort the short.
I agree with you. And
the way they depreciate is faster than
and they don't even know how to maintain it.
So Keke, Okada, they depreciate so fast, so it's really not an investment.
How are you doing, BC?
I'm doing amazing. House is back to quiet.
Oh.
He's dropped on the kids yesterday. My baby cried. She had never cried before. Normally she was eager to tell them bye-bye.
I know that
She
feeling.
wept. I was like, what's different now? I think she's getting more mature. And then she bonds a lot with her brother. So 2 of them now had another role.
When you leave the house, you appreciate your family more.
Yeah.
You know that this is home.
Yeah.
This is where it is. This is where the love is. So when you leave, you now better appreciate.
My son was crying, Mommy, I want to follow you. I want to follow you.
I used to do that too when I was in the house.
I was just looking at my husband's face. I said, don't respect yourself. We're outside. Don't try it. My big daughter, she's in Daboski. She's like her mother. All right, when we see you, make sure you call me. And that was
that feeling. I used to cry. The first day you cry because you just come back from the holidays. You're sad. You just wish, you've been pampered at home for the holidays.
You've had everything.
And now you're back in boarding house and everything is routine, breakfast,
they're already checking in and everything.
All that emotion. I understand what that child is going through.
Love your new look, Mariah.
Thank you. I got it from House of BC. Hair by BC. Thank you. Hair by BC. Hook me up. All right, it's Monday. So much is happening. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we go through the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
All right, let's start with The Nation. Soldiers, policemen killed in attacks on checkpoints. Security, Southeast governors, leaders insist on Ibuboyagu. Naira falls on back of rising food inflation. No COVID-19 deaths in 12 days, says NCDC. Ndume puts suspected Boko Haram financiers on open trial. And U.S. to raise Africa's growth finance to $6 billion. Okay.
Okay, so major headline in the nation. An inventory of what all that happened in Rivers State. You know, the attacks continuously happening in the southeast have extended to Rivers State, and they had soldiers checkpoints in Rivers State attacked. They killed soldiers, they killed policemen. They moved into Kaduna. A doctor was killed in church, and 4 others abducted. And custom officers and 3 military personnel were also killed in Niger State. There was an abduction of another 35 people in Niger State. Just sort of starting the week with the headline in the nation across all the other papers is sort of depressing. But you know, just to let us know what is happening there, because our authorities say we are reporting more killings than we should. But those are the realities on ground. And abductions and killings are still happening and rife like that. But what's his name? The governor of Rivers State, Governor Wike, has ordered that these were suspected IPOB members who carried out the killings in his state, and that they will be fished out, and they must, you know, be fished out. It's ordered that they will
you know, we can trace the root of this insecurity to inflation in food, and the paper is carrying that the Naira falls on the back of food inflation from 483 to 485 to $1. And it is because of the statistics being released of March reports that inflation is getting worse. And we're seeing that the economic crisis is what is feeding the insecurity crisis that we're having. So deal with the economy, you probably would deal with the security.
All right, Senator Ndume is speaking here. He's saying that he was responding to the federal government. The federal government had initially said that they're not going to release the names of the Boko Haram sponsors, and there's going to be a secret trial to try these people. And he said, why would you have a secret trial? That you must have an open trial. That he exposed that there were 400 bureau de change operators who actually were funding Boko Haram.
They were
these
arrested.
People, they have been arrested.
Yes, 400 of them.
Funding,
and that, to call it confidential, to say that the details of their, you know, arrest and their trial will be confidential, for him, it seems like, you know, playing with water. That his own trial, when he was suspected to be a Boko Haram sponsor, was public. And that he went out there, he defended himself. And so anybody who's thinking that they are free, they are not guilty of such a suspicion, should go out and, you know, establish their...
Before you run off, please. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control said yesterday, on Saturday, became the 12th consecutive day Nigeria recorded no fatality in COVID-19 deaths. Though they had gotten 51 new cases of COVID-19 across states. They said in Yobe, they had 19 cases, in Lagos 17 cases, Rivers 8 cases, Federal Capital Territory 4 cases, Akwa Ibom 2 cases, and Bayelsa 1 case. And they also said that the 44 people had recovered from COVID-19 and had been discharged from the isolation centers. We've given vaccination to over 1 million people, and we are waiting till we get the next batch to continue.
All right, moving on quickly now to the Punch. India's deadly COVID-19 variant FG expert panel meets today, plans additional measures. Accountant shot by robber dies following rejection by the Lagos hospitals. NDLEA seizes 10 billion naira worth of heroin in Lagos and Kano and arrests 6. Community deserted as bandits abduct another 35 residents in Niger. Southeast governors arrest EGs to partner panel on Ebuyagu. And picture here, stranded commuters lament as fallen container causes gridlock on the Lagos-Badon Expressway. Okay, which story are we taking?
Headline.
Major headline, yes.
Very worrisome. So, you know, India has overtaken Brazil as the second most affected country with COVID-19. And now, you know, because of the level of infection, the federal government announced, according to the Minister for Health, he said that, you know, the federal government will introduce new COVID-19 guidelines to curb the spread from India to Nigeria, but it will be decided at an expert meeting today. So they have not decided.
Yesterday and today, people can come in.
And they are saying that this variant is called the double mutant.
Yes, double mutant.
And it's likely to be a triple mutant because it's quite strong.
It's faster to infect, it's quicker to kill, and a lot of other things. So we have experts advising that the federal government, because of course, our international relations and economic relations with some of these countries, we could not shut down in China when it started. So we most likely might not be able to shut our doors against Indians. But we have so many Indians working here. and the federal government must be decisive about what they want to do.
So part of what they're saying, they said they wanted to monitor those flights coming in. I think, what does monitor mean?
Well,
when you come in, what exactly does monitor mean? So
this
has to be decisive.
In the same report,
this happened when COVID came into Nigeria. Other places had shut down. Nigeria refused to shut down the airports, and then we saw someone come in, bring it in.
Yes,
London already has shut down India from getting into their countries.
In the same report, our isolation period upon arrival is still 7 days. The UK has made theirs 10 days. And the UK even make it at specific hotels that the government owns. So you must stay isolated upon arrival. But our own, you go and isolate in your house. So you still get into society.
There's a human interest story.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, so an accountant, Odiri Onosigo, lost his life on his way to work. This happened in Festac. So early in the morning at about 6 a.m., he was at the bus stop waiting to be conveyed to work with his friend when an armed robber just approached him, dispossessed him of his phone and shot directly into his chest. He fell in his pool of blood and everybody dispersed. But the friend ran back and picked him up, got a keke marwa to take him to the hospital. So they went to about 3 different hospitals, Lagos State hospitals, and they kept rejecting them that they had to come with a police report till this young man died. But we've discussed here, I know that they have said that they commence the treatment and then request for the police report.
It is law.
So what's happening? Why?
So this report, I'm sure that is going to get to the Commissioner for Health, and I'm going to see if they can look into it and make sure that this doesn't happen again. Any other story in Punch?
Yes, the story of the people that were moving drugs.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
10 billion naira worth.
Yes, 10 billion naira worth at 2 airports, actually. One was found at the Lagos International Airport, and the second was found at the airport in Kano. Both of them were carried by cargo, and then they were later found out to be cats. I don't even know what kind of drug that is, but it's AHA.
And they also had meth also in them.
Yeah, so it was like synthetic kind of drugs, and they checked, and it's valued at 10 billion naira heroin cat at Lagos and Kano airports. For me, I'm happy with what NGLA is doing because there seems to be a story about this every day. Yeah. And I'm hoping that would stop Nigeria because Nigeria is a major funnel or a major channel for moving drugs around, and we need to change that.
It's quite sad because they said that the cargo was from South Africa, but it was on an Ethiopia airline plane. So it was misleading for a lot, and it took them some time to actually detect
the NDLA are doing so much PR on what they are doing. So we'd like a lot of sensitization about the damage that drugs do. So we have some videos that some NGOs have already done. You can also sponsor that to the edge and take into school so the younger people will catch them young kind of thing. We'll see.
All right. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue with the page review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're going to move on to Daily Sun. Killing spree continues. 9 Fed dead in Edo crash. Presidency now defender of terrorists, bandits alleges, says Fayose. 700,000 people diagnosed annually with malaria in Lagos. Fetch controversy trails trial of 400 bureau decisions. We talked about that earlier. APC caretaker committee moves to extend tenure. An outrage over violent attacks in Imo Southeast. Okay, which story are we taking first?
I'll take the outrage.
Yes, go ahead.
Becoming very unsettling and disheartening with what is happening in the Southeast. On Saturday morning, Governor Hope Uzodima's residence was attacked and about 2 persons were killed. And according to the report, it came as a result, it was more like a reprisal attack because they said one of the commandants of the Eastern Security Network was killed, one Mr. Nonso, and about 4 a.m. And probably that was just, paying back because according to some members of the community, they said that they promised they were going to come back for Hope Uzodima again. And, everybody's speaking up about what is happening. The President General of Ohaneze Ndigbo has expressed worry and appealing to Igbo youths not to allow people use them to, destroy their sanctuary. The Igbo land is their sanctuary. And they are appealing to the federal government, like, Imo State, most states in the southeast are under siege. The federal government should do whatever they can do in their power to ensure that they bring calm to that state. I really do not understand what is happening and what can be done.
Additional report, the governors have had a meeting again and decided this time around that deliberately they're standing only for the Mbuago, because we see the argument between IPOB, MASOB and all other indigenous vigilante, Eastern Security, voting for the Eastern Security, saying that they can only secure, but you need legitimacy. So they have decided that they will follow the Southwest model and have laws backing the Mbuago in the region.
Really
all right.
I wanted the story of the 9 feared dead, because it's happened around my my husband's area, because this is in Edo State, Ekpo Junction, Agbo Ewoimi Road in Igbugwe local government of Edo State. 9 people were killed in this accident. They were traveling, 10 of them were in a vehicle traveling towards Ewato in Esa South, and the accident, the bus collided with a cement truck. 9 people died immediately. 1 was critically injured, rushed to the hospital. Our heart goes out to the entire family of those that were killed. The sector commander of the Federal Road Safety Commission said that he confirmed the incident, but he said that 5 people died on the spot, 3 others were rushed to the hospital, and he attributed it to overspeeding and loss of control. And we keep hearing that we should control. There are speed limits on our road, but we don't comply. When we're driving on the express, people drive 100, 80. The speed limit puts at 70, 75. Let's live within...
All right, another story that was interesting in the city. So former governor of Ekiti State has said that President Buhari has been an employer and defender of Boko Haram. And according to him, that he said it's saddening and worrisome that the spokesman is probably referring to Garba Shehu are going around from media houses to defend somebody who has openly supported terrorists. And he's talking, I guess he's referring to the Pantami story. Okay, let's move on now to the Nigerian Tribune. Government-run riot in Kaduna, Rivers, and Oyo State. Nigeria needs 1.89 trillion naira to eradicate malaria, says federal government. A policeman allegedly extort LASU students of 153,000 naira in Ogun. Road accidents claim 9 wedding guests in Edo. FG punishing over 500 lecturers for rejecting IPPIS, says ASU. Polaris Bank sustains profits growth. And COVID-19, Nigeria maintains 7 days quarantine policy as UK bans flights from India. And Transcorp appoints new board of directors, subsidiaries, and CEOs. Okay.
We could do the malaria.
Let's talk about malaria.
Yes. So the Minister of Health stated he had a ministerial press briefing to commemorate this year's World Malaria Day. And he said that Nigeria will require 1.89 trillion to fund the new strategic plan on malaria between 2021 and 2025. He said the government had developed a 5-year plan. It's called the New Generation Malaria Strategic Plan to sustain and to chart a pathway towards achieving a malaria-free Nigeria. Now, they said they needed the money because they are going to be using 63.1% of the total amount to support chemo prevention, diagnosis and treatment, while 35.9% will be used for vector management. They did not explain what those 2 terms mean.
Okay, I'm happy that billionaire Nigeria Nedunwoko is part of this movement, because you always hear of international rich men, Bill Gates and others, investing so much in malaria. But it's good to know that we have our own indigenous wealthy men who are also participating and putting together resources to support this research on malaria.
Please don't take a story before we go. Federal government loans. The state's report by Tribune, gotten from an investment company, puts the fact that all the states in Nigeria need at least ×3 of their IGR, internally generated revenue, saying that only 3 states in Nigeria have 50% of their federal allocation, or slightly above 50% of their federal allocation, generated internally. That's Lagos, FCT, and Ogun State. Only these 3 states. Every other state needs to increase their internally generated revenue, because there's been a 60% decline in the government revenue that goes to the states. And so states cannot keep waiting for federal government to give them loans to sustain their economy.
Let's move quickly now to Vanguard. I'm not sure there's any story we've not taken. Killing of abducted students, wake up, ASU, NAPTAN, and UT tell federal government. Doctors killed in Kaduna church, 8 communities in Niger sacked. FG to review salaries of political office holders soon, says Ramfak. And Pantami, no excuse for ignorance, Archbishop Kaigama.
So according to the head of the Revenue Mobilization and Allocation and Fiscal Commission, he said that the revenues of our political office holders and public office holders will soon be reviewed, either downwards or upwards. And usually it is reviewed based on the present situation in the country. So if it's inflation, reviewed based on that, it could be reviewed downwards. And we know because of the situation that is generally agreed that is our present situation in the country financially, I believe that they will review it downwards. So I'm going to be...
I have to run off, unfortunately, but this story that happened in Gaidam is quite saddening. Thousands flee homes as Boko Haram holds Gaidam. Now, what happened was that Boko Haram came into that community and practically shot sporadically and causing many families and homes to flee. Although the Nigerian military actually did engage them, they had airstrikes, but unfortunately, from the reports, it seems they were overpowered. After doing the airstrikes, the Boko Haram, they fled. Then they came back hours later, and they still took over the community. So as we speak right now, we don't know who is in control of that community, either Boko Haram or the military. We're not really sure. But the people have been displaced, and they're obviously asking for help to get their communities back. Really, really sad story. A whole community, as we speak, we don't know if Boko Haram is actually in charge there. That's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we come back, we move on to the hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So as many of you already know, 3 of the students kidnapped last week at the Greenfield University in Kaduna State have been found dead. As you could recall, that the bandits broke into the private university located along the Kaduna-Abuka Highway in Chicken local government area on April 20th. They were shooting sporadically before whisking away an unspecified number of students at the time. What are your thoughts on the fact that these 3 students have been found dead? What do you think about the strategy of the Kaduna State governor? Do you think he should have a rethink of his stance on not negotiating with terrorism? Or do you feel that the only way to eradicate this banditry and kidnapping is to insist and not negotiate with them? What are your thoughts? You can call us on 091-390-76948. You can also call us on 081-270-53687. You can tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. So a lot of people got the news and it was quite sad. Initially last week when we talked about this, many had initially praised the governor, saying, yes, we must not negotiate with the terrorists. Others have said, well, if you're not going to negotiate, find a way to get them out. Now, when this story came, it came as a rude shock. Some were surprised, others weren't. What are your initial thoughts? What do you think the governor of Kaduna State should do at this time? And what would you say is the right strategy in your view before we bring in our guests later on? Nima? In
Kaduna State, we've been called emotional, we've been called sentimental when we approach this issue. So I don't know how to play games with lives of people. I don't understand how people do it. And I believe that when you say, I'm not going to negotiate, it is right. Don't negotiate. Call crime a crime. Call criminals criminals. Do whatever you want to do, but do something. Be strategic about whether you are going to leave the lives of people with them to play with, or you're going to rescue the people. So I would love to see attempts, failed attempts, even at the least, of trying to rescue these children, finding out where they are. The other group of students kidnapped, over almost 40 of them, they stayed there for weeks. Their parents were doing helpless, had no information. The government itself, who was unwilling to negotiate, had no information. Even if it's to pick a call and trace where that call is coming from, at least do something. Make a failed attempt at rescuing the children. But don't say, I'm not going to negotiate. And government at the time came out when the School of Forestry students I'm referring to now were kidnapped to say they were safe, but I'm not going to negotiate with criminals. And they remained there. Thank God they did not die. But this is what we feared. What happened now is what we were afraid of at the time when we were saying, you cannot just say no. You must have something that you're doing deliberately that will calm us down.
What are your thoughts, your initial thoughts on this?
Okay. My first thought was, no conversation is going to raise the dead. Those 3 children, they are gone. Those families have lost 3 children. 3 children who they've raised all the way to university level, and the inefficiency of the government has led to their death. It's simply because one of the core assignments of every government is to provide security for their citizens. And the inability of our government to provide security for our citizens and rescue those that have been kidnapped has led to the death of 3 people. So whatever I say is not going to bring those children back to life. But what can the government say to ensure no other person gets kidnapped? You know, this is not the time to be quiet. It's not the time to play safe. Maybe, and I don't wish this on anybody. Nobody wants this to happen. But until our leaders feel the pain of losing a child,
but this is
of going to the
told us categorically that
even if it's his child,
yes,
that he will just pray for
even if you have not worn the shoe, you cannot know how it pinches until you wear the shoe. You have not suffered the loss. Until you suffer it, you cannot understand. Everybody says they will say anything until it happens to them. I am here appealing to the Kaduna state government not to grandstand further, so that we don't have further loss of lives.
All right, let me come to the neighbor.
I just pray that we're not all sitting down and our future just evaporates before our eyes. These are young children who are being killed, and only God knows exactly how their parents will be feeling at the time. I know that the governor has said he wasn't going to negotiate with bandits, which is okay, but negotiation doesn't mean that you have to pay a ransom. There's a way you can have a conversation with the bandits to know exactly what they want. There's also a way that you can use intelligence to fish them out. You cannot tell me that a whole state, a whole federal government has failed in their primary responsibility to protect lives and properties of their citizens, and you say you don't want to negotiate, and you allow people's children get killed just like that. It's a colossal failure. That's one. I also pray that we should be upfront. We should be honest in our conversations. If you need help from international organizations, please, can you ask for help? Let us swallow our pride, though. This is not a matter of pride. Ask for help. See, these people have overwhelmed us. We do not have the manpower to fish them out. We do not have the resources to fish them out. We need help from international organizations. Cry out and see if help will come.
Listen, thank you for taking us there, because many of us have watched Hollywood movies, and we've seen even the U.S. say we don't negotiate with terrorists. For a country to say, I don't negotiate with terrorists, you have the capacity to fish it out. You have the apparatus. You have the intelligence to get this, so you can confidently come out and say, I will not negotiate.
And yet they do.
No, I'm saying that they have, the U.S., they do, but here in Nigeria, do we, let me federal government.
They still do.
This is a state governor thing, because the federal government here is a different entity. But the state governor, does he have the ability, the equipment, the intelligence to actually desist that he cannot negotiate with this and fish these them out?
The state doesn't have the power.
He doesn't have the power.
He doesn't. He's the chief security officer of the state in name. He cannot even control the IG. He can't control his commissioner.
See, this governor,
he cannot control the military.
He should remember how much.
The governor can say he will not negotiate. That is if he has capacity in his own self to rally the security of his state. He is not in charge of the commissioner. He would have to still appeal to the IGP to get him to get the commissioner to do what he wants. He's not in charge of the military in his state. So what exactly is giving? What exactly gave our governor, the governor of Kaduna State, the confidence to say he will not negotiate based on what? So if he tells us what made him not negotiate, maybe he has some insight that we don't know about that might comfort those parents that have lost their children now.
Or would even assure the Lord. It's a matter of mindset for him. I respect his decision not to want to negotiate. As a governor, you look at your resources and say, no, I will not encourage like my other governors are doing. this crime going, because it's a business.
Yes.
You fund them, and they, they continue to grow and spread. So I respect that. But then, don't forget how much you invested in the schools. In Kaduna State particularly, I remember his first tenure, all the educational landslides, that he did, and he kept reporting, investment. He even put his child in a public school to encourage people to attend schools. But now, what they are doing in your school, in your state, is going to make that entire initiative fail. So you must have a strategy that you want to do. And one of the strategy that you can do, even though you're not in control of all the security apparatus in your state, is that you must be able to go and stand in front of Aso Rock. If it takes you sleeping, you could know how to kneel down very well. Kneel down. Tell the federal government you cannot leave my state so porous that people can be kidnapped and killed.
He and his colleagues from the north, just last week, they all went together. So the same thing.
Should go
Maybe that's why he even knelt down.
It's the same thing. He should make briefings. He should talk in the papers. I remember the former governor of Borno State, when Borno was at the heights of Boko Haram.
Before we talking Benue to get governor.
I don't think
how far did we go? We were here.
No, it
was shouting every single day.
But at least you can say he spoke up.
Autumn was attempted. You have not been attempted, but defend your people.
Please, we need
go and sit in Aso Rock. Make sure that they wake up all the security apparatus on behalf of your people.
Say that's emotional.
Let it be emotional. Be a father.
We're talking about we need strategy.
You act like you want plenty picking. I can lose anyone. What are the best way born one?
We can do the emotional thing and show it. And nothing happens. Let us be factual. What we need is things to get done. Exactly. And the government is saying, listen, I'm not going to negotiate. My question, therefore, to him is that,
what are you doing?
So what is your plan?
Say,
What's your plan?
What exactly
do you have behind you that's giving you that energy to say,
let's go on a break.
Negotiate.
When we come back, maybe our guest will have other questions. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're waiting for our guest to join us. Unfortunately, I'm told she's not here yet. But while she's coming over, let's get our call from the UK. Funto, are you there? Thanks for calling. Oh, from Abuja. Funto, you're live. Go ahead, Funto. Hello, Funto, are you there? Okay, I can't hear Funto.
Good morning.
Good morning, Funto. You're live.
Yes. First time caller, please. First time caller.
Claps.
Yes, I'm the first time caller.
Welcome to the show.
First time caller.
We said we clap for you, madam, now.
I'm the first time caller. Good morning.
TV.
If you are watching the TV, we've clapped for you already. Okay.
To announce that don't watch the TV, just listen.
I say that every time. Okay, so we have tweets.
Let's take tweets. Festus Akimboyewa says, U.S. has not succeeded in rescue of all its citizens promptly. Those held in Iran for years is a reference case. I expect you guys to start this conversation by first condemning the dastardly barbaric and those bloodsuckers, which we did. The surrogate says, for how long is government going to keep paying ransom? Let's put sentiments aside. Paying ransom is the wrong step. Let federal government admit they are incapable and seek external help. Doesn't have the required military numbers. That's what the insurgents are taking advantage of.
Let me take Yakub. Yakub, good morning. Are you there?
Good morning, Morayo.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Good morning to you all in the studio.
Good morning.
Morayo, to be sincere, we are at a crossroad because, hello?
We can hear you clearly. Go ahead, please.
The reason is this. The governor of Kaduna State, Morayo, every governor in this country, especially in the northeast, they really need help. Let me give you an example here. Sister Anima mentioned something earlier. If the government decided to not to negotiate, I think I support that line. But the issue is this: do you really have the power to win these guys? Because the issue is this: if you negotiate, these people will got money from the governor. They still go back to go and get more arms, and then they still come back to come and kidnap more people. Do you get it? Now, that he decided not to negotiate, I think Obi said something earlier as well. We really need external help. But our heads want to deceive ourselves. Now, Idris Deby of Chad or something has gone down now. Idris Deby is the people. It is one of the presidents in this our Africa that really help his people in terms of fighting these people. Now that Idris Deby is going down now, I can tell you, Morayo, if care is not taken, in terms of intelligence, they are nowhere to be found. Why is this David winning the war when he was alive is that the Israel supported him, the France supported him. It's not really that they supported him in terms of firearms, but they supported this guy in terms of providing the intelligence so that he will know exactly where these people is. Now,
right. Really, really. I feel the pain from Yakub. Do you have any more tweets?
Yes, we have more. Honorable Ademola Lalede says, I wonder if Governor El Rufai is a father. If his child was among the students abducted and killed, will he still maintain his stand not to negotiate with the kidnappers? He should revisit his stand and start to behave like a father and head of government in Kaduna State. Festus Akimboyewa says, my condolences to the families of the 3 murdered children. The bandits killed them to invoke our emotions, and we must not fall for it. Military must move quickly to rescue the rest of the students. That is all we're asking.
Yeah. And even Professor Wale Soyinka has said that the federal government should swallow its pride and seek help, which is what you were saying earlier. But listen, I get really confused at times like this where, yes, we're talking about the governor, but the federal government has a larger stake in this.
Yes, no.
The federal government is their own responsibility to keep Kaduna State safe. So we shouldn't just throw that at only the governor because, yes, he is the one that is saying that he would not negotiate. But the federal government, what are they doing? We've not heard from them categorically. There have been quite a number of kidnaps have happened, quite a number of killings have happened, and we are yet to get an official statement from the government on this.
I think yes.
The spokesperson
federal government had spoken.
The spokesperson of the federal government, Mr. Garba Shehu, in talking about insecurity and all our reports around insecurity, mentioned that we are reporting it as if it is a new thing, that as if it's not been happening in past administrations. And I'm wondering, it was not a criticism of past administrations when insecurity was at the height of it? When the Chibok girls were kidnapped, it was the major criticism against your predecessor, that everybody wanted them out because we thought they were inept about what was happening. And it seems like you're at that point now and you think it is politicking. This is what I will say to him. As a Muslim, you should remember the Prophet ﷺ saying that, be careful what you mock a person by because it might be your faith. God might make you go through it deliberately to teach you a lesson. All right, because these parents now are looking for their kids and we're making politics. People talk carelessly as if the matter of lives and families, welfare is not important.
All right, let me take Hassan. Hassan, I remember Hassan was very, very adamant saying that he supported the governor of Kaduna State in not negotiating. Hassan, have you had a change of mind since this happened?
Thank you, Morayo, for beginning your question with an answer. Good morning, all
Good morning, Mr. Hassan.
Good morning.
You begin your question with an answer.
Okay.
I'm still very, very much adamant.
Can we increase the volume, please, so I can hear Mr. Hassan?
What the armed robbers are doing in Kaduna State, what the kidnappers are doing in Kaduna State is daring and blackmailing to the person of Governor El Rufai and all meaning Nigerians. We cannot continue to bribe the brigands. We cannot continue to be intimidated by the brigands. By the grace of God, we will continue to fight them. We will continue not to be carried away by their blackmail. We will continue by the grace of God to make sure that our security apparatus face them head on and defeat them. By giving them money, you are enriching their armory. By giving them money, you are much more creating much insecurity for yourselves. I told you from the beginning, this thing is shakara. The killing they did it to make government to dance to their tune. And the government will never dance their tune. Good morning.
Thank you very much.
Conversation. I was asking Hassan if we are willing to use these children as sacrifice. Sometimes you want to get something from the gods and you have to give something. have we now decided as Nigerians to give these children a sacrifice so that when this negotiation doesn't happen and they're not able to get more money to kidnap more people, they will not come back? Is that what we're doing? I know that I read in the papers that the federal government had responded with the usual, the matter is heartbreaking, and we send our condolences to the parents and all of that. But we need more, exactly, we need more than that. The body language of the government is not showing us like there is hope for us somewhere in the future. If you cannot do this, just tell us, Nigerians, so you're on your own. Whatever happens to you, just know that there's nothing we can do. Our hands are tied. Let us know so that people can make the right decisions for themselves. If the children in the north, if the parents want to start homeschooling them, they can have that option. But don't give us like you are our father. That's what?
The whole kidnapping is across the country.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So everybody needs to protect themselves.
Yeah. Let's take a few tweets while I run off.
Professor Kiboyewa says, negotiating with bandits in Nigeria will be tantamount to buying more violence. It must be difficult for any government in El-Rufai's position. Saliu Mohammed says, what happened to NAT's force bill that should control small arms and light weapons and the likes? They should fix them up and work with security agencies to fight the issue. The info on the last senior police officer working with them.
Stephanie Gazwaza on Facebook says, the government knows exactly what to do. If the government wants to stop this crime, they are just playing politics with people's lives. Bukola says, I honestly don't understand what is happening. Our military used to be very good in the past. Killings almost every day in Kaduna. Can this government not consider asking for help from international community?
Rolake O says, the pain of losing a child is mostly felt by women and men, not men. If the fathers in government are not feeling the pain, what are the mothers in government doing? Let those who feel adamant, like Hassan, kindly substitute their children with the captives.
All right, let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll move on to other topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome to the show. So with us in the studio is Ikello Moshodeko, the West Africa Security and Risk Analyst. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with everybody.
All right, before we move into we're going to talk about Pantami in a minute, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on what we talked about. Governor El-Rufai insisting he wouldn't negotiate with terrorists, but yet we've seen 3 of those young students of Greenfield killed. What are your thoughts? Do you think he should change strategy, or do you think that we should put our foot down and still not negotiate with these terrorists?
Well, it's always very difficult in this kind of situation where you have killings happening, especially when it comes to kidnappings. You know, generally you expect it to just be for ransom, where they keep them hostage for a period of time and they release them after you release maybe some sort of money or sort of adjustment in your strategy towards them. In this case, I can't necessarily say this is what the governor should do, but I can suggest a change in strategy. That is, we have to figure out a way, if we are not negotiating with terrorists, what is the strategy we are using to actually rescue these kids without negotiating? So are we putting in place a sort of security team that is going to infiltrate these people, raid them, pick up the students or whomever has been kidnapped? We've been hearing some of those situations happen in some parts of the country where the security forces are able to infiltrate the bushes or wherever they are and bring out the rescue the victims. So I think that's one thing. That's another aspect we need to understand. So, Governor, if you're not negotiating, what is the strategy to rescue these people? Is there a security team already in place to go in and bring them out? So those are the questions that need to be answered.
I'm glad you said that. Let me come to our other guest, Honorable Yusuf Adamu Gaji. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Yes, good morning. I'm here.
Good to have you. Before we move into the Pantami story, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this issue because we are quite worried about the governor of Kaduna State's strategy of not negotiating terrorists, yet to have 3 of these students that were kidnapped killed. And Nigerians are worried. Should he change his strategy?
Well, Governor Nasiru El-Rufai means different things to different people. He has always been what he is. He has the mandate of the people of Kaduna State to rule them and govern them for the next 4 years, which is remaining 2 years. But again, Governance is about the people. It's not about, at times you compromise some of your personal principles for the collective good of the people. And again, governance is about bettering the laws and the welfare of the people. In fact, without protecting life and properties of the people, including their welfare, before their welfare follows. So if he feels that he will not negotiate with bandits or terrorists or kidnappers to rescue the life of the people he governs, in my own personal opinion, that is very, very unfortunate. And but again, he reserves the right as a governor to do whatever he wants to do. But my advice for him is, whatever you are going to do as a leader of the people, the governor, the chief security officer of the state, the life of the people should be of primary importance to you. Yes, it could be you don't want to negotiate so that you don't encourage them. But again, the life of the people that have been lost, I think negotiating with them would have been the best option for him and would have been the best option for the family of those that are losing loved ones. And that comment, again, in times of security, is the reason, I think is part of the reason why some of those people are being stimulated to react in a very negative way and to equally think that Kaduna State will be a place for them to perpetrate some of those activities in order to hurt back the governor based on the comment he has made.
All right, thank you for your comments on that. Now, we'd like to move on to the issue of Pantami. So the presidency had released a statement backing the embattled Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Ali Issa Pantami, amidst calls for him to step down. The Chairman House Committee of Representatives, which you are, Honorable Yusuf, said the National Assembly and the DSS cannot possibly have all the information required to assist the public. He also said that no individual in the 180 million Nigerians were unable to remember that comment that was made or write a petition to the National Assembly for them to act or not act. Now, Honorable Yusuf, you made these statements in the House, and obviously many people have actually been concerned about that statement. So, are you saying the fact that the DSS and the National Assembly could not detect that this minister had in his past, at some point in his past, encouraged or supported terrorism? And the fact that Nigerians, you said nobody in Nigeria could actually come up to object his engagement. Do you think that is enough for us to still retain this man in the cabinet of the national, of the federal government?
Well, you are in your question, you are joining two issues that have no relationship whatsoever. I think the video, people watch the parts they want to watch, or media decide to send the part they want to send. And I accept responsibility. I will repeat that again and again and again. It was a journalist that asked a question. First, I condemned Pantami in totality, and I still condemned him, and I don't see any reason why Pantami, whether in his teenage or whatever, would have made that comment as a representative of the people of this country. In the interview, it was a program that lasted for over an hour. I made my position very clear that I don't agree with that statement, and we shouldn't have a minister of the Federal Republic making such statement and presiding over the affairs of the people of this country. I made that statement. But again, the question was that National Assembly were culpable. I said, no, you don't blame, every blame, you don't throw it on the National Assembly. When we are wrong, we are wrong. Even if we don't want to accept we are wrong. But when we are right, we shouldn't be saying we are right. I told the gathering of the journalists that National Assembly does its job. When a minister was nominee were mentioned, it went through security check, and I try my best, of course, to speak for the security, in my own personal opinion, that they have passed through different security scrutiny. Then you brought the list to the National Assembly, Senate of the Federal Republic in particular. At that point, the Senate of the Federal Republic can only disqualify a ministerial nominee based on the information available to them. Their CVs were submitted. Nigerians were expected to send their complaint or their reservation on any of the ministerial nominees sent by Mr. President, whether they want him, whether they think he is fit or not fit. I now said, those people that have such information against Pantami, during the screening exercise of Mr. Pantami, why didn't they present a petition to the National Assembly upon which National Assembly should work on? And again, if you think the DSS is a security agency or the police that ought to have naturally investigated this man to come up with ideas about him. I said the institution is not God. They won't be able to know everything about every individual.
Before I allow the ladies...
Pantami... Yes.
All right, Honor, before I allow the ladies interrogate what you just said, let me let our guests say your initial thoughts on this issue of Pantami. Do you agree with those saying that he should step down based on what he said in his past and he has since apologized for?
I do agree that he should step down because the thing is, it creates a ricochet effect. We already saw what happened with the attack on Gaydam. We've not had a situation where terrorists are spreading their information in paper, you know, via a bill, like putting it out there like, this is what we want, this is what we want to do. It's been a while we've seen that. I think when they first started out during the end of Jonathan's regime, they were doing that. But it's been a long time we've seen that. And the only reason they will do that is because there is something that has triggered that all over again. And so for the life of us, we might not like the situation we find ourselves. What is wrong with our people and integrity? Why can't you say, yes, I wasn't a minister when I said these things, but I know this has a great effect on my people and how they feel towards me and how they feel towards what I'm doing as a minister. I hereby step down for there to be investigations, and if the government and the people see that I'm no more a part of that movement or that thought process, then I think the people can bring me back with their, with the clamor and say, oh, yeah, these are the things that I've been accused of.
So the honorable thing for you to do is to step down.
Just step down. Do it. You don't need the president or the presidency to make that decision for you. You can do that on your own. You know you had this belief. Yes, they might have been in the past, which is questionable as far as I'm concerned. Our thought process doesn't change just like that as far as I am concerned. You still have a residue of those things inside. So you do it, be autonomous in your decisions. Have the discretion to say, I step down at this moment. I wait for the investigations to be completed, and I will come back if the people realize I didn't do all these things.
That's not a very Nigerian.
Yeah. Okay, Honorable Yusuf. So the question is for you. I know that, let's just, for the sake of sharing blame, let's all accept that we didn't do due diligence. As a matter of fact, the DSS failed in bringing out this information. The people also failed in bringing out this information. Fine, that has happened. We all take responsibility for that. Now that it has come to the fore, what do you think the right thing should be, based on the fact that the president has been accused of being nepotistic? And this is more like showing that the accusations are real. What do you think is the right thing for the president to have done now that it has been brought to the fore? Forget about whether he has repented or not. This was something that he said, and he did not deny it.
Well, in my personal opinion, again, nepotism, it's based on the way people understand it. I'm not here to defend Mr. President, but I equally have my personal view about governance. Anybody that is put as a president of this country, in one way or the other, people must accuse him of sentiment, people must accuse him of religiosity, people must accuse him of... So that is a consistent culture in some of our politics, particularly in Nigeria. But Pantami is what should be done as a parliament. Parliament has done its own, but people must equally understand how governance operates. It is not within the powers of the National Assembly to remove a minister. The president reserves the constitutional right here either to remove Pantami or not to remove him, based on the information available to them. That is absolutely the prerogative of the executive arm of government, not that of the parliament. So Nigerians are talking, government are weighing whether it is politically motivated to some extent or it has real merit. It's left for the president to scrutinize those attacks on them and find a solution that, again, will comfort the people of this country, not will comfort an individual. Right. So in my opinion, Nigerians should equally allow the presidency to do the needful. I understand they have issued a statement. Maybe it's based on the information available to them. But in my personal stand, it is not within the National Assembly to say, Pantami go or not go. It's the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Okay, maybe what they taught us in school is not right. But what they taught us in school is that the legislature is a check on the executive. which means you are more powerful than you just admitted to be powerful. It's not about your opinion, sir. It is what the law provides for. That if the presidency or the president refuses to do what is right within his power, who checks the presidency? That's supposed to be the job of the legislature, sir. Or are you saying that the president is at will to do whatever they want, regardless of the clamoring of Nigerians, to put pressure? Like, is it that Nigerians cannot put pressure on the legislature to do what we want, regardless of what the presidency says? Break it down for us where your power ends. Not in your opinion, but what the law says.
Yes, the Constitution have donated a power even to the National Assembly to remove the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is how powerful a parliament is. But in terms of decision of the scenario of Pantami, who was confirmed by the National Assembly without those information available to it, and the public are crying that this man ought not to be in the executive council of the Presidency of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And the presidency have had that. Whether you like it or not, National Assembly does not have the power at this time to say a minister is sacked. It is the executive that reserve the right to exercise those powers based on the information available to it. You don't expect National Assembly to all of a sudden come out and say Pantami is removed as a minister. He who have the power to appoint have the power to remove. Nigerians have spoken. National Assembly have, presidency have responded. So it's not a matter of where does the power of the National Assembly. Yes, we oversight ministries, departments, and agencies of government in terms of their spending, in terms of their general activities regarding to how they better the lot of the people.
Let me go on a break, sir.
So we have the power to oversight presidency, but we don't have the power to sack a minister of the Federal Republic.
Let me go on a break. Obviously, the title's wrong. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So before the break, Nima had a question. Go ahead, please.
Someone who's seen the damage that the Boko Haram insurgency has caused to a section of the society. People started, Islamophobia became rife. People started to fear Muslims everywhere. I became a victim of someone pulling my veil in public and saying Boko Haram, clear to my face. So I know for a fact that it was the silence of the elites in the north. And I mean religious leaders at the time when Boko Haram was starting to call out evil as evil, that, you know, that encouraged this. So when you see a Pantami who's been a leader at 13, when you climb the mimbar to give sermon, you're a leader. You're supposed to be a knowledgeable Muslim. And at 13, your sentiments at the time were in support of something that, you know, people will be undecided. I was undecided about where my stand would be about Al-Qaeda for years as a Muslim. And you see someone who had that position, had sentiments like that expressed for years, and then suddenly says, I did that, but I've changed. And my last sermon was at 34, but I have changed now. And that person is allowed to hold public position. Don't you think that is something that we should take more seriously? Because whether or not people want to forgive him, what his position was encouraged the spread, and we don't know the level of that spread except until now. Is the one that champions a public reorientation of people, up north especially, back to, you know, the right method of thinking. I don't expect him to be sitting in a public office. What are your sentiments around that?
You know, we are not, as security and risk analysts, we are not allowed to have sentiments or opinions, as the case may be. What we generally have to have is precedents, the facts, the data, and we compile. You know, you've expressed this thought process, and it's very important for us to key into what you said, and that is someone that had the opportunity to take over leadership as a teenager and grew into that thought process as an older person, as an adult. A 34-year-old is an adult. And suddenly you tell me he changed his opinion or he changed his mind. We know how difficult it is to change our parents' minds, you know, not to now talk of someone that is an adult. You know, you say you're an adult, and that's the most, that's the part where you're a bit more rebellious. You know, you have your own stance and your own opinions and your own convictions. I will say this. I will repeat what I said initially. If you're a Pantami and you have integrity as a Muslim, as you claim you do, you are a leader in your lineage, and you know this does not sit well with the population of the country. The people are scared. The people don't want to have war in their country because they see what is happening in other countries. The people don't want instability in their country. You can be autonomous in your decision and say, I, Pantami, Issa Pantami, considering all this fact that has been presented before you people, and I notice you are all scared and you do not agree with what I said as a 34-year-old, I step down as a minister, considering the role I am playing in this government, so that investigations can be completed. And if the investigations are completed and you do agree that I am a changed person, then you can clamor for my return. Till he does that, as far as I'm concerned, is just a political person that is just enjoying the role.
For your thoughts on it. Let me come back to our guest, Honorable Yusuf. Some have said that the people who killed daily Boko Haram, that may have even killed these 3 university students we're talking about, these 3 college students, may have been encouraged by Pantami's sermon many years ago. These are the ripple effects of sermons like Issa Pantami held on to many years ago. Therefore, as a lawmaker, which you also agree with, and you said that personally, don't you think that the lawmakers can collectively have a consensus to the presidency, advising, you can't tell him to fire him, advising him that he should step aside just as the public are demanding? Who are the public that you are representing? As we are demanding, don't you think it's something within the purview of the National Assembly to do?
Let's look at the Constitution very well. I think when it comes to National Assembly, people get irritated to tie in the National Assembly to almost every bad thing in this country, and it's very unfortunate. To remove the president, impeach the president, the Constitution is very clear about it and the processes that should lead to that. But from page 1 to the last page of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, yes, it was clear about how a National Assembly should conduct its oversight over agencies and departments of government, MDAs, ministries and departments of government. But I do not see the process of removing a minister by a member of a parliament in the Constitution, in as much as I do not agree with what Mr. Pantami have done. My powers there as a parliament is suffocated, is limited. Whatever the parliament, the National Assembly will do regarding to this is advisory, just like during the tenure of the former service chiefs. National Assembly had a cause to pass a lot of resolutions, but it's left for the government to respect those resolutions or not to respect them. And to be fair to the members of the 9th House of Representatives and Senate, people have been expressing their concern like any other individual of this country has been expressing his concern regarding to Pantami's matter. So if I do not see a clear procedure of me removing Pantami, how I should participate to an extent that the man is removed as a member of the Federal Executive Council, there is no point wasting my time to pass an advisory resolution that I have done it time without number during the tenure of the former service chief, where on security matters, we've been given our own advice. Some are respected and some are not adhered to.
Honorable sir, I understand the helplessness post his appointment as a minister. Let's just go back to how he was appointed in the first place. So the DSS, a former director of the DSS, Mr. Makri, had come out to say that this report on his sentiments were part of the report they gave on him at the time he was profiled to become a minister. And he was sent to the National Assembly as well as the executive. Let's assume the executive, because of sentiments that they've expressed recently, did not act on it. All the members of the House of the National Assembly, the House of Reps, as well as the Senate, nobody felt that such sentiment was serious enough to be a ground where they will stand against his appointment?
I don't think it is true that there was that report regarding to Pantami to the National Assembly. Quote me anywhere. That is a fake story. It's a fake news. What I said, which is clear, which I still stand by it, is this pressure that some Nigerians that are privileged to know the commitment, the disposition of Pantami when he was 24. Why didn't they bring it up during the screening of the ministerial nominee to the Senate, to the attention of the Senate, and see whether the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, this is my personal view, I'm talking as an individual parliament, not the position of the Senate or the House of Representatives. These Nigerians that have access to this sensitive information and very important information, what stopped them from hitting the media with it? At the time the screening exercise was being conducted, that was the time the National Assembly had the power to reject nomination of the president or to confirm nomination of the president.
Did you see the DSS report?
Those people that have, if those people that have those information have done that, and National Assembly going ahead to confirm Pantami, then I will accept responsibility and say, yes, we, the National Assembly, have done extremely bad. But they didn't do that until now that the power to suffocate the man is not within the ambit of the National Assembly. It has been shifted completely to the executive arm of government.
Honorable Yusuf, do you think the Nigerian populace has any form of power at all? Because if we say that we do not want this style of governance, or we do not want this person because of this, this, and that, and the president looks at us and tells us that this man will fly, and there's nothing we can do about it, do you think that we are running a proper democracy and we as Nigerians have any form of say in how we are led?
I think this issue of Pantami should not disqualify our democracy. We practice democracy in Nigeria and we copy a resemblance of American democracy. I am not saying the president is equally right to say, I have forgiven him, but he has the right to either give the man prerogative of mercy or to sack the man. That is his own power. Just like President Trump, before his end of tenure, decided to forgive criminals in the United States of America, which was unacceptable to some of the Democrats. It is equally the same democracy we practice in Nigeria. I think we should be looking at a genuine way of solving this problem of insecurity as National Assembly are working day and night to say their mind, whether federal government like it or they do not like it, speaking for Nigerians regarding to how we can curtail these killings on daily basis to the barest minimum, instead of exhausting our energy to take over the power of who have the right to appoint and have the right to remove a minister. I have said it personally. I don't believe in Pantami. I don't believe in that statement he made. I don't believe in that statement. If he had made that statement to an extent of coming public to say, I accept responsibility, I have done that, I think it doesn't sound modest to my ears. But any other individual has his own right. The president has his own powers. And we, the citizens, too, have our own powers. In as much as we represent the people of this country, we should equally know the limitation that the Constitution has restricted us from doing whatever we are going to do about Pantami as a parliament is going to be advisable.
Let me come to my guest in the studio. So, people have criticized the fact that this man is in charge of a very, very important security the data, Nigerian data. As a security expert, what are your views on the fact that if we have somebody who is similarly sympathetic to terrorist activities, heading a critical aspect of Nigerian information about every citizen, what's the effect of that on our security intelligence?
Yeah, not just on our security intelligence. I will assure you that the security outfit of Nigeria are one of the best in the world. They have very, very, very intelligent people. But the problem we always have is the mixture of both politics and their jobs. That's always the biggest issue we have. So now this is what I will say. First and foremost, you will notice Nigerians will be they're generally skeptical people because they feel the government is not for them. So now you will see people drag when it comes to actually going to register for the NIN. Because now they will be like, my minister might generally be a terrorist, so I don't think I want to do this anymore. So the intensity at which people were going about it before will slow down. That's one of the effects. The other effect on our security in general when it comes to our data is that Nigerians will be a bit more skeptical. We see the skepticism when it comes to putting out data of any kind. We want to easily change our names rather than use our normal names. So there's a fear that this data might be used for nefarious purposes, and for me, that is very scary for an average Nigerian, and I wouldn't want the citizenry to have that kind of fear.
Right.
Yeah.
So, going back to the Honorable, please, when you say the Constitution, sir, the Constitution is within the purview of the legislature. So, if we have a Constitution that does not empower proper checks and balance, is it not within the purview of the legislature to amend the Constitution so that they are more empowered to act as checks and balance to the federal government? That's one. Number two, it's obvious that we have a major security crisis in the country. It's not restricted to any region anymore. And beyond, because you've said that, you've spoken consistently before the service chiefs were changed, and you just feel like beyond talk shop, what can the legislature do on the insecurity challenges we have in this country? What is the role of the legislature? What can they do? If the laws don't favor you to do more, how can the laws be amended to empower you to do more to protect Nigerian citizens?
I think, again, I'm not a lawyer. I've been in parliament, even at the state level. But in my little knowledge of law, the crafters of Nigerian constitution have wisdom in trying to stabilize powers between the judiciary, legislature, and the executive. The way we operate our democratic trinity, the crafters of Nigerian constitution have wisdom in that. If you give the parliament the power to remove the president, the procedures is there. Equally give the parliament the 100% powers to confirm members of the executive council and expressly remove them. I think you are leaving the executive arm of government with no power. What we need to do as Nigerians, aside of National Assembly performing its constitutional role of supervising MDAs to the best of their ability, taking personal sentiments away from it, ensuring monies are appropriated to agencies of government that is responsible with the protection of the securities and properties of the people of this country, and at the same time monitoring the spendings of such funds. If that job is done to the best of our ability, I think to some extent we are going to reduce the problem of insecurity to the bare minimum. But right. Beyond that, the Constitution, I cannot say have imbalances in terms of proper check and balances, in terms of proper separation of powers. There is a wisdom in that. If you say confirm, at the level of confirmation, you have the right to reject. And after confirming, you equally have the right to say, go away. I think there will be some level of equity within the distribution of powers among the tiers of government. So,
Honorable Yusuf, whenever we have a lawmaker in the House, we like to ask them this question because we are finding it difficult to get a united response to the question of restructuring. And I hate to deviate, but what are your own views? Why is it difficult for the National Assembly to beckon to the call of Nigerians, saying this security apparatus that we have today is not working? We need to decentralize power, even across other sectors, resource control, issues of education and all that. What are your views on restructuring, and why is it so difficult for the National Assembly to have a consensus on that all this while?
We have a consensus. If there is any item that we will commend the 9th House of Representatives, both Senate and the reps, to be fair to members of the parliament on security matter. Whether you don't like the National Assembly, you must appreciate the National Assembly on that matter. Where did you get the records of when I, as a chairman Navy, I had a cause to come up publicly on the floor of the House and challenge the activities of the service chief, and equally challenge the strategy of the federal government toward insecurity problem in Nigeria? What other things do you want? If I do not compromise as a person that is supposed to perform oversight over the Nigerian Navy, which is one of the armed forces committee of the National Assembly, I came out to say, I'm not comfortable because my people are Nigerians and we are not comfortable with the modus operandi of the former service chief. If National Assembly can come up with that, and many other of my colleagues have not shown, including Mr. Speaker himself, he have shown his sadness about this insecurity problem in this country. We have totally started the process of police reform to ensure internal insecurity to an extent that Police Act is passed. We are considering the Police Service Commission bill. We are considering a lot of security reform bill. What other things do you expect the National Assembly to do? In the little videos I have watched of the plenary of the Senate, I have seen a lot of Senator Ndume and many other senators expressing their dissatisfaction on the security problem of this country. And equally, in terms of conducting our oversight function, we have done it to the best of our ability regarding to insecurity. And that is why we even scream more than Nigerians against the former service chief, against the modus operandi of combating insecurity in this country. I don't know whether there is further thing that you want. If you don't commend the National Assembly on the issue of insecurity and speaking for Nigerians and ensuring the right thing is done, new people are on board. I believe now we need to encourage, in as much as people are being dying on a daily basis, the security apparatus that we sleep in our houses and they are in the major streets of Nigeria, they were being killed on a daily basis. So let me put... We have a reservation on security approach. We should equally appreciate the commitment of the security.
All right, no problem, sir. We understand all the meetings, commissions being set up. While that is happening, people are dying. But let me just take this call from Sunday. Sunday, are you there? Hello, Sunday, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Yes,
you're live.
Question for everybody, both in the studio and people outside.
Okay. Go ahead, Sunday. We can hear you. Go ahead, please. Sunday, you are live in the studio. Please go ahead. The phone is a bit delayed. Please, when you call in, it's a few seconds of delay when to get to your house. So you have to listen to the phone line, not the TV. If not, we wouldn't hear what you're saying. You have a question for our guest. Let me take a few tweets from Nima. Go ahead.
Ahmed Musa Baza says, I totally disagree with Nima. If not because of the northern Islamic scholars, 90% of Maiduguri youth would have been members of Boko Haram. Why did you think that Boko Haram would go after Islamic scholars? The likes of late Sheikh Jafar Albani were killed by Boko Haram after the visit of Obasanjo, I'm sure. Winnie says, the issue with insecurity and terrorism are causing citizens heartaches and depression. The problem is beyond Pantami's resignation. There are thousands of religious extremists out there inciting bloodshed and fear every day. How can we have a peaceful nation when hatred rules?
All right, let me let this go in.
With the response of the president and obviously his body language, it's obvious that nothing will be done about Issa Pantami. He's going to continue to be in that position. What do you think Nigerians can do? Because apparently we are not happy about the situation. What more can we do to ensure that at least something just goes, something happens? We're not just going to sit back and feel the president has the final say. We are the people. We put him in power. What more can we do?
I think the easiest thing we can do is the peaceful process, where people can gather, march down streets quietly, express their, even if it's, yeah, I know. I'm just like, I'm giving it as what is the idea behind democracy. It's acceptable, excuse me. So we see in the U.S. when there's a shooting, it's sad that it turns into looting and things like that. But sadly, we know how the response of the government is whenever people come out to protest. That's the first thing we can do. But at the end of the day, to not sound pessimistic, we're sitting ducks.
Yeah.
We're just going to quack.
TK, I hate to cut you off, but you see, what as a security expert, what do you advise we do as a nation? What is that thing we have to do to begin to solve? People have been saying decentralize the power. He's saying they've already put together a police affairs commission to resolve this. But is that enough? What can we do to fix this problem?
There are lots of things we can do to fix the problem, and we have to start step by step. Decentralizing is one of the steps, but we need training, very, very important. Individual citizens, we generally don't know how to have conversations with each other. We generally don't know how to, if you're in a position of a slight power, if you're the head of the maids in the household, there's a way you talk down at the people that are, you know, your subordinates. So we generally don't even have that kind of culture. So we need training for the security apparatus that will be in place. Amotekun, when they started out, we immediately saw how they started abusing their powers, you know, and they're supposed to be for the Southwest. So basically, apart from decentralizing, when we decentralize, we need to train people. Then we need to begin to understand that neighborhood watch is the way to go. We see how the people all came about when the government abandoned us during the lockdowns, and people created their own neighborhood watches to, you know, chase away the hoodlums, you know. So neighborhood watch, which the state government, as Lagos State for that matter, has something like that, where we have some key people that, you know things about their neighborhoods and all that, you know. So you see, it's just step by step. It's not a snap of a finger type of situation. We also have to think of collaboration. Collaboration is one of the things we look down on as Nigerians. If you collaborate with the right groups of people, we can make things work. But we refuse to collaborate. We refuse to see how the outfit, for example, in Amotekun can help people in those states. Do you know? Because the borders are close by. So how do we create some kind of line between the Southwest into the South-South? You know, the lines are there. So why do we keep doing this? Oh, we want to be on our own and be on your own. The Southeast, as close as it is close to the South-South too. And we remember that Bielsa is trying to resurrect their own kind of security outfit. So there's this sort of collaboration that needs to work. You know, security agencies don't like to feed each other information, I can assure you of that. But yeah, so it's very important we think of collaboration. So training, from restructuring to cutting us short to smaller packages, to training, to general behavioral stance towards each other, you know, level and so on and so forth.
We have to wrap up. I'm told that we got disconnected with our guests, but thank you very much, Honorable Yusuf, for joining us this morning. Talk, you had a question?
Yes, I wanted to ask concerning ideological and sentimental challenges that we have. So many of the issues we're having up north is an ideology fight. It's a religious, sentimental, ideological fight. Many of what is happening down south is the secessionists. We want to actualize our own. We want equity. And some of those things are what are fueling the crises that are happening around the country. How do you think we can deal with ideological crises? People that can be sentimentally won over into saying, no, the Igbos need to have this, and they've not gotten it all these years, and they can be incited into violence. How do we get that done?
That's why we need a solid leader. We need a leader that says, you know, the president started out like that, I am for nobody, and that phrase. If he kept with that phrase, we would have gone far as a people. I think what happened is that some people feel dragged back, while some feel like they're evolving faster. So I assure you, if you're in a class of people and you have very intelligent students, you notice that people that gravitate towards the intelligent students do well. So you generally don't want to stay, you know, at the back of the class. You want to be advancing. And so I feel that every time the president makes these kinds of decisions, it makes the people feel like, okay, you're not important. My people are more important than your people. And when it's time to nominate someone that should be in a particular big role, and you nominate someone that is also part of your clan, it increases. So we need to wrap up, unfortunately. It's a very, very solid leader.
I have to wrap up. We're running out of time. But Honorable, are you still there? Let me just let you have the final word. What are your final thoughts on this issue of security, and what advice would you give the federal government?
Well, from my part as a parliament, in my little view, we'll continue to support security reform in the House of Representatives, continue to make laws that will guarantee the safety of the people of this country, and strengthen our existing laws by amending and repealing them to ensure that we are given a legal framework that will enable the security agencies to perform their duties, and to equally call on Nigerians to appreciate those young men and women that have sacrificed their lives to fight for the security of this country, who are equally being killed on a daily basis. The police, the army, the navy, the air force, the customs, and what have you. They need encouragement from us. And again, we should stop politicizing the security situation.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
It doesn't spare anybody. It doesn't. We should be able to confront the situation the way they are, honestly, in the spirit of one Nigeria, irrespective of all the isms, the religiosity.
Thank you, sir. We have to run off on. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, that's all we can take. Thank you very much, Kike, for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
It's a deep breath.
Monday.
Monday morning. That's all we can take. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.